made clear, I support indigenous people if they want to have their own territory separate from the United States. I support that. If they want reparations to be paid to them by the American government, I support that, right? And these people that want to jump on me over the land back thing, I have said over and over and over again, I support reparations and I support indigenous people having their own territory. I don't support George Soros, Silicon Valley funded NGO called Land Back. But if land back means that the indigenous people get their own territory, and they want it, right? If they actually want it and it supports that, then I support that. It means reparations to help them, economically develop that territory. I support that. I made a mistake. I shouldn't have come out against land back because the thing is, land back is a trick, right? There are about 6 different definitions of land back, right? And some of them are things I support, and some of them aren't. And the definition of land back changes 6 times in every fucking argument. And it's so annoying, right? Sometimes land back means you support this NGO that wants to privatize government land. Sometimes supporting land back means you want indigenous people to determine their own destiny. Sometimes supporting land back means that you think indigenous people have the right to their own territory and reparations, which I support. Did you hear me? I support that. Okay? If any oppressed group within U.S. borders wants its own territory, I support that. Okay? So anyone who tells you I don't support oppressed people and their right to their own territory, decolonization, is lying to you. Okay? But sometimes land back means that all white people must leave North America. I don't support that, right? Sometimes land back means that no white that we're not allowed to march for jobs and education because we're demanding jobs on stolen land. I've heard that before, right? Euro settlers just want more goods. During Occupy Wall Street, people said that we couldn't march at Occupy Wall Street. You just want jobs in modern capitalism. That land is already occupied. There's this whole, you can't argue for anything. Look, if land back is clearly defined as just supporting the sovereignty of indigenous people, supporting reparations to them for the crimes, then I support it. But if land back is deporting all white people, I don't support that. If land back means we're not allowed to protest for economic demands because we have no right to be here because we're living on stolen land, how dare we as white people ever do anything? This is not your land. How dare you? Then I don't support that. The definition of land back changes 6 times in every argument. But the thing is, there's a reason they do this trick. Yes, and free Leonard Peltier. I've marched for Leonard Peltier many times. Free Julian Assange, free Alex Saab, and free Mumia. The reason that they're doing this thing with land back right now, the reason they're doing it, okay, is because the reason there's no clear definition of it is you're not allowed to want one. You just have to support whatever the wokes say, oh, look, a group of people support this. If you don't support it, you're racist. Well, tell me what it is. I mean, do the majority of indigenous people support it? Right? I mean, look, a lot of these wokes, they project their politics onto indigenous people. Yes, there are some indigenous people that do want tribal sovereignty. They want to break away from the United States. They want their own territory. Fine. They want reparations. Fine. And great. I support them. There's some indigenous people that are evangelical Christians. Did you know that? There are a lot of indigenous people who are evangelical Christians. There are a lot of indigenous people who vote Republican. Did you know that? There are Native Americans who vote Republican. There are Native Americans who serve in the U.S. military. A lot of Native Americans fight in the U.S. Armed Forces. So, some NGO gets set up and they say, oh, we're for land back. They won't tell us what it is. And then the definition of it changes about 6 times in every argument. But if I don't immediately throw up my arms and say I support it, then I'm racist. And it's like, no, I'm sick of being hoodwinked. I'm sick of this hoodwink, right? I support indigenous sovereignty. I support reparations for indigenous people. I support their right to their own territory. I've said that over and over and over again, okay? But I don't support this blank check of just, oh, we have to support everything just because somebody on the internet, a bunch of white people on the internet have announced land back. I don't support deporting all white people from the United States. I don't support the idea that we can't protest for health care or jobs because we have no right to anything because we're on stolen land. Shut up, white Euro settler. So again, there are about 6 different definitions of it. And we're not allowed to actually talk about politics. It's this, so you better, there's a mob of wokes that are angry. And if you don't immediately agree with the mob of wokes, canceled. How dare you? You're a racist white man. Shut up. I'm sick of this crap. I'm tired of politics being like this. I want to think, okay? I want to talk about facts. I want to talk about facts. I want to talk about policy. I want to talk about economics. I want to talk about actually things that can get done. Take your woke emotions. I get it. You're mad. You're mad. Okay, you're mad at the world, right? Great. I'm mad about stuff. You're mad about stuff. That's not politics. Being mad is not politics. Your angry emotions, your white guilt, that is not politics, okay? And I'm tired of it. I'm really tired of this woke crap. It has nothing to do with socialism. I mean, did Karl Marx, when he wrote the Communist Manifesto, just wrote, I'm really mad about stuff? No, he didn't write that. He wrote a fucking document that understood history and Marxism and historical progress and dialectics. I mean, come on. I'm so tired of this. I'm so tired of this woke crap. It's just explosive emotions. Everyone's emotions running crazy. And if you don't immediately agree with whatever it is they want, which they can't even tell you what it is they want, but you got to agree with it. And if you don't agree with it, you must be a neo-Nazi. You must be in the Ku Klux Klan. These people are nuts, okay? And I'm tired of it. They don't speak for me. I'm a socialist. I was a socialist before it was trendy. I was a socialist when I was 13 in Ohio in a Republican town. I protested the Iraq War, okay? I stood against the Iraq War. I was talking about police brutality before any of these fucking woke pigs were talking about it, all right? Before any of these people who saw it on Twitter and thought it was trendy. I was with police brutality victims in Cleveland. I was going to court with victims of police brutality when nobody talked about it. When everyone at my college told me that police brutality was made up, that's just something black people make up to get money from the government. There's no police brutality. I was marching against police brutality. I was standing in solidarity against police brutality. I was talking about it long before it was trendy, okay? And I'm so tired of these wokes. These wokes are disgusting, right? I swear, they only believe in this because it's trendy, because it's popular, because they saw it on CNN. They don't know anything about history. They don't know anything about economics. They're not interested in this stuff. All they care about is fitting in. They want to be part of the crowd, and they want to let their emotions run wild. I actually believe in this stuff. You know that, folks? I actually believe in Marxism. I actually believe in socialism. I've read books about it. I've visited socialist countries, okay? I've gotten arrested in demonstrations for this. I've risked my life trying to bring aid to the people in Yemen. And these people, these stupid 14-year-old teenagers who get on there and you're racist because you wave an American flag. You're not decolonism. I'm more revolutionary than you, even though I sit on my computer and do nothing. Shut the fuck up, kid. Just shut the fuck up. I don't want to hear it. Seriously, I'm in this for real. All right, if we're going to actually win this thing, we got to get to average Americans. And we're not going to do it by making average Americans hate us, by making average Americans think we're their enemies, by telling average Americans, our goal is to tear up your homeland with a civil war. You should be poorer, you evil Euro settler. That's not going to work, okay? If we actually want to get out of the nightmare of U.S. imperialism and capitalism and the low-wage police state and the prison industrial complex, if we actually want to do something about this, if we actually want things to change, you got to grow up. Just grow up, right? Control your emotions, read a book, learn how to actually talk to people, get people to understand that your goal is to make life better. That's what we need. That is what we need. And I'm so tired of this stupid wokeness. It has nothing to do with Marxism. It has nothing to do with socialism, and I'm just letting it all out right now because I'm sick of it. I'm really sick of it. I have said over and over and over, before any of these people had ever been born, I was in favor of the right of indigenous people to sovereignty. I had a demonstration. The FBI came to my college campus. You can look this up. There's a picture on my Facebook. The FBI came to my college campus when I was in college, well over 15 years ago, or not, 10, 11 years ago, 12, 13 years ago. I was in college. The FBI came to my college campus. And on this very conservative campus, I had a protest against the FBI recruitment workshop for Leonard Peltier. And there were 4 people there, and we protested the FBI recruitment workshop for Leonard Peltier, right? And, nowadays that might be trendy. Nowadays you might get 50 people there and it'd be so woke. I can tell you that was not trendy. They sent out a whole email, a security email all over the campus with my face on it, saying that I was a disruptor and that I may be disrupting this FBI recruitment. We stood there with signs. I didn't do anything. Right. So these people that want to act like I'm evil. I'm a fascist. I'm a Klansman just because I want to wave the American flag and get American workers to understand I'm not their fucking enemy. These people who think I'm a neo-Nazi because I don't immediately jump on the latest trendy thing you saw on Twitter. You have no idea what you're talking about. I've got skin in this game. OK, I have taken risks. I have gone around the world. I have gotten arrested at protests. I have I have, I've had a lot of friends I've lost over the years. I have made sacrifices for this. I really have. I believe in this shit. Okay. I believe in this shit. And, these 14-year-olds who get on there and they think they're so special, screw these people. Screw these people. I'm really tired of it. I'm really, really tired of it. Right. And now it's like, oh, he doesn't support land back. Well, what is land back? Maybe I do. Maybe I do. Maybe I do support land back. Tell me what it is. Oh, you're racist for asking what it is. Oh, okay. There. Thanks. I'm sorry. I'm racist for not supporting what a bunch of 14-year-old white kids on the internet have announced that we have to support. I mean, this is ridiculous, right? Have you ever been to a Native American reservation? Do you think every Native American is a woke 14-year-old? You know how many Native Americans there are who are Republican, who serve in the U.S. military, who are evangelical Christians? You think you speak for Native American people because you watch some videos on YouTube? Give me a break. I am so tired of these people. I am so tired of them. I mean, and the country is sick of them too. People always, they say, I'm a crypto Trump supporter, I'm a fascist. These people are the best friend Donald Trump ever had because the whole country is sick of them. The whole country is sick of these disgusting wokes. They are sick and tired of them. They are sick and tired of them. And right now, the only alternative is Trumpism. The only alternative is Trumpism. If we can't build a left, a socialism that is not woke and toxic, if we can't build a socialism that's about making the country better by getting rid of war and racism, if we can't do that, if we can't build a socialism that's about trying to make a better country, it's about trying to break us out of imperialism and build a new society. I mean, if we can't build a socialism that people would actually want to join, then all we're going to get is Trumpism. We're going to get more right-wing authoritarianism and Bonapartism. And, and that's what we're going to get, right? If we can't get a socialism that might actually get to the masses, if we can't get out of the movement into the masses, we are going to get fascism. That is what we're going to get because people are tired of the status quo and people are sick and disgusted by the wokes. I'll tell you that much. So if you see these wokes out there, these people are the best friends that actual neo-Nazis and fascists ever had. These people who can't tell the difference between Jimmy Dore and David Duke are the best friends actual white supremacists ever had, right? The people who are on there that think that people who've spent their lives as anti-racists are Ku Klux Klansmen because they disagree about Russia or something. These people are the best friends that actual neo-Nazis ever had. Right? The neo-Nazis should be paying these people. There you go. Sorry to go off there, folks. I'm so tired of this. I am so tired of these people. I am so tired of them. They make me embarrassed. When I tell average working people I'm a communist, they think I'm one of these people, and I'm not. They think I want to destroy their community. They think I hate them, right? I was in West Virginia right after Donald Trump got elected, and I was talking to a steel worker. A union steel worker. I was talking to a union steel worker. And you know what he said to me? Quentin Tarantino in his movies. You know what he said to me? This union steel worker. He said he voted for Donald Trump. This is what he told me. He said he voted for Trump. He said because the Democratic Party stopped believing in the working man. And now they're a bunch of socialists. That's what he said. And I was like, wait a second. Socialists believe in the working man, but that's not how these people see it. No. Socialists believe in the working man, but this steel worker in West Virginia who voted for Trump, in his mind, they don't. And that's true. If you meet the average, woke who thinks they're a socialist, they don't believe in the working man. They hate the working man. They think the working man is an evil, racist, and sexist who needs to atone for his white privilege. And check your privilege, working man. Oh, you're not woke. You've never read Judith Butler. Oh, you probably want more stuff in your house. Well, you're destroying the environment. You're destroying the environment by having more stuff, and you're living on stolen land. You're a racist Euro-settler. You should be poorer. That's what these wokes are disgusting. They're anti-working class. And average working people hate them. They hate them. Average working people hate Antifa. Average working people hate the woke crowd. They hate them. And righteously so, because these people think average Americans are their enemy. And if we want to be the enemy of average Americans, at a time when average Americans are more anti-war than ever before, average Americans are more critical of the establishment and the media than ever before. If that's what the synthetic left wants, these people are enabling the right wing to come to power. This is what Vladimir Lenin wrote. He wrote, "Neither we nor anyone else can calculate precisely what portion of the proletariat is following and will follow the social chauvinists and opportunists. This will be revealed only by the struggle. You hear that? Only by the struggle. And it will definitely be decided only by the socialist revolution. But we know for certain that the defenders of the fatherland in the imperialist war represent only a minority. And it is therefore our duty, if we wish to remain socialists, to go down lower and deeper to the real masses. And this is the meaning and the whole purport of our struggle against opportunism. By exposing the fact that the opportunists and the social chauvinists are in reality betraying and selling the interests of the masses, that they are defending the temporary privileges of a minority of workers, that they are a vehicle for bourgeois ideas and influences, and that they are really allies and agents of the bourgeoisie, we teach the masses to appreciate their true political interests and to fight for socialism and for the revolution through all the long and painful vicissitudes of imperialist wars and imperialist armistices. By calling out Vosh, by calling out AOC, by calling out ContraPoints, by calling out the fakes and the wokes, and by going lower and deeper to the real masses, by going into working class communities and neighborhoods, by talking about patriotic socialism and saying that we love America and we're going to make your life better, by exposing the warmongering liars who speak in the name of socialism and going past them lower and deeper to the real masses, we are doing our duty. This is our duty, to get out of the movement and to the masses. This is the whole meaning of our struggle against opportunism. If we wish to remain socialists, we must go lower and deeper to the real masses. This is what Lenin is telling us to do. The Bolsheviks never had a better newspaper than the Mensheviks. They never had more college professors than the Mensheviks. They organized the real masses. They had Stalin, a man from Georgia. You want to hear it performed, go to the end of the Saxton Lectures and watch it at the end of the Saxton Lectures. At the end of the Saxton Lectures, Paul performs the Ballad of Joe Stalin. The Ballad of Joe Stalin, by Ewan McCool, right? This is about who Stalin was, right? Joe Stalin was a mighty man was he. He led the Soviet people on the road to victory. All through the revolution, he fought at Lenin's side. They made a combination till the day that Lenin died. He said, "Come all you people, we'll work with brain and hand." But then one day, the Nazis came into the Soviet land. They plundered to the Volga, to Stalingrad, and then Joe Stalin said, "Come on, me boys," and kicked them out again. Joe Stalin was a Southerner. In Georgia he was born, where oranges grow thick and fast, and fields of waving corn. And Joe, he was a farmer. His fingers, they were green, and he planted the biggest crop the world had ever seen. One day he looked upon his map and frowned and shook his head. "There's too much brown and not enough green." Those are the words he said. "We'll have to change the weather, boys," he said, and then he smiled. "So let's begin by planting trees along 3,000 miles. Joe Stalin rolled his sleeves up and he said, "Come on, let's start. The Volga River and the Don, they are too far apart. I think we'd better join them. So come on, help me, pal. We'll build a mighty waterway we call the Volga-Don Canal." One day he went up into the north and saw the rivers three, all emptying their waters into the polar sea. "Now that's not right," Joe Stalin said. "These rivers, they are ours. So we'll turn them around and make them give electric power." There was a range of mountains that was standing in the way. So Stalin put his hands up and smoothed them all away. For Joe, he was determined to make the land all green. And that's the biggest project that the world has ever seen. Joe Stalin was a mighty man. He made a mighty plan. He harnessed nature to the plow to do the work of man. He hammered out the future, the forgeman he has been, and he made the workers' state the best the world has ever seen. That's Stalin, right? Joe Stalin, right? Joe Stalin was not from the rich. He was not from the aristocracy. He was from Georgia. He wasn't even from Russia. He was from a nation that was colonized, that was an oppressed nationality in the Russian Empire. He was from a poor village called Gori. He was from a village, and he learned to read and write only because his mother was a fanatically religious person who sent him to seminary school. He learned to read and write, and he knew how to work with people. He was a man's man. He liked to drink and smoke cigars, and he could be friends with anybody. He could talk to anybody. He was charming. And Stalin knew how to organize people. Stalin was a man of the people. He understood the peasantry. He understood the factory workers. And Stalin, there was a rock and roll band in the 1960s that was called Country Joe and the Fish Band. Country Joe and the Fish Band. And the reason it was called that was because it was named after Stalin and Mao. Mao was called the fish because Mao said the masses are the water and the revolutionaries are the fish. Stalin was called Country Joe because he was from the country. He was from a rural area, right? And Stalin understood the people. And the reason that Stalin was able to mobilize the Soviet people, to industrialize, to build the country up, to electrify the country, to defeat the Nazi invaders, to make their country a superpower, was because he loved the Soviet people. He loved them. He loved all the Soviet people. He loved the Russians. He loved the Georgians. He loved the Ukrainians. He loved the Moldovans. I mean, he loved the Soviet people. He loved the Siberians. There's a story that Stalin, he was sent into exile in Siberia, and they sent, all these Bolshevik leaders into exile, and they would send them to Siberia, and they're living in exile, and all these Bolshevik leaders are miserable. They're all rich kids, students, intellectuals. They're like, oh my God, we're in the middle of the countryside. What are we going to do? Stalin went to the local village, and he made friends with all these Siberian villagers. And he got to be so popular with the Siberian villagers, they elected him president of the hunting club, right? Stalin was president of the hunting club. They liked him so much. Stalin knew how to work with people. He loved the people. He loved the people. And that's why he was so effective. Stalin was the editor of Pravda. He was the editor of Pravda, which was the daily newspaper. The Lenin and the Bolsheviks, they had Iskra, right? They had Iskra, which was the newspaper of, the theoretical journal that Lenin wrote for and stuff. But Stalin was the editor of the daily newspaper called Pravda, which was a newspaper about actual conditions in the factories, about what life was like for average working people. Workers would write in and say, my boss is exploiting us. He's got unsafe conditions. Another worker would write in, my conditions are just as bad. And it was like a voice, it gave voice to average people about what their life was like. Stalin had a deep love for the Soviet people. He understood them. He understood them with deep passion. He understood the Soviet people. And because of that, he was able to mobilize them to build up their country. And if we in the United States, if we socialists, if we Marxists in the United States, if we want to actually win and actually dismantle US imperialism and actually build a healthy society and actually build socialism in America, we need to love the American people in the same way. It doesn't mean we have to support their backward views. It doesn't mean we have to support racism. It doesn't mean we have to support chauvinism or colonialism or reactionary ideas. No, but we need to love the American people. We need to love all the American people, from California to New York to Idaho to Georgia to Alabama. We need to love all the American people, Black, white, Arab, Asian, Latino, Mormons, Catholics, atheists, Protestants, Jews, Muslims, Hindus, Sikhs, Native Americans. We need to love the American people. We need to have a deep spiritual connection with the American people. If we want to lead the American people, if we aspire to lead the American people in dismantling imperialism and building a socialist society, we must love them and we must know them. And if you're serious about politics, if you're LARPing, you want to LARP and you want to be silly on the internet, have fun. But if you really believe in this stuff and you really want to change the world And if you're a socialist, you're genuinely a socialist, you must learn to love the American people and love them so much and have so much of a deep spiritual connection with the American people that you're able to mobilize them to fight for their future, to show them that their future is breaking out of US imperialism, tearing down the global system of monopoly capitalism, standing in solidarity with the people of Africa, Asia, and Latin America, ripping America out of their imperialist system and building it up in solidarity as part of the Belt and Road, as part of the Eurasian Economic Union, building a new America on new foundations, repudiating the past of colonialism and slavery, and building a new America for working families. And if you're going to do that, you have to have deep love for the American people. And if you don't want to develop that love, if you don't want to know the American people so well that you can win them to socialism, if you don't want to know and love the American people so well that you can get them to see their own true interests and why imperialism and capitalism is their enemy and why Russia and China and Venezuela and Cuba are their friend, if you don't want to do that, you are not worthy of the task. It's a hard task. It's hard to love people. It's hard to love people that have gone along with ugly wars. It is hard to love people who have locked their brothers in jail or sold their people, opioid medications that have gotten them addicted. It is hard to love people who are filled up with so many delusions and think that capitalism is a great system, or that think that communism never worked anywhere. It is hard to love people who are selfish and individualistic and have let so many of their people starve and go hungry, right? It is hard to love people who have let so many of their country folk become homeless. It is hard to love people who look at Skid Row in Los Angeles and see so many of their brothers and sisters being homeless on the streets and don't rise up and demand the government do something about it. It's hard. It is hard, but it's our job. It is our job to love the American people. We must love the American people, and we must love all of the American people. Black, white, Asian, Arab, Latino, young, old, urban, rural. We must love the American people, and we must figure out how to get them to understand where their true interests lie. That is your job. That is your job. That is your job. If you are a serious Marxist, you must learn to love the American people so that you can show them that for their life to truly get better, imperialism must be dismantled, capitalism must be overthrown, and socialism must be established. You must learn to love the American people. As hard as it is, as angry as you might get with them, as frustrated with them, you got to learn to love them. It's kind of like Sam Marcy. I'm critical of Sam Marcy, but Sam Marcy said, you got to learn to love the people, and you got to learn to patiently explain. That was what Sam Marcy said. You've got to learn to patiently explain to the American people where their true interest lies. Folks, if we wish to remain socialists, we must go lower and deeper to the real masses. Dare to struggle, dare to win. If you never dare to struggle, I'll quote the great David Cedillo, the founder of San Angelo Solidarity. If you don't dare to struggle, you're never going to win. If you don't dare to struggle, you're never going to win. And daring to struggle means learning to love the American people. Dare to struggle, dare to win.